You guys are
said not a big
obsessing
deal.
over this thing that most Americans don't actually care that much about.
Oh my gosh. So Dave Smith just did a panel about Biden dropping out on Piers Morgan's show, and he just destroys everybody in his path. You guys, we are gonna be unpacking parts of this segment in just 1 second. First, welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you could please really quickly smash that like button, and also please consider joining my locals community where we post behind the scenes content. It's free to join with the option of contributing monthly if you would like. Hit that link down in the description below. Now, you guys, for those that don't know, Dave Smith is a libertarian commentator. I do not agree with him on everything. I don't even agree with him on everything that he says in this panel. However, I'm not going to necessarily nitpick because he just absolutely destroys the liberals on this panel. Let's go ahead and jump on in. This segment's going to be a little bit long. I'm going to let it play.
Look, I'm a libertarian, and so I already know I'm going to lose. So I kind of have an advantage on some of you guys. Like, I'm not married to either side here, but I think people blind themselves with narratives when they're all in on one camp. And to hear you guys, the Democrats on the panel saying like, oh, the Republicans are in freak out mode or something like that. Guys, you literally just removed your candidate to go with another candidate after years of pretending that the emperor had clothes, while the rest of us were all talking about the guy who was clearly suffering through severe cognitive decline. Finally, you guys had to admit it. You pulled him out there. You're now going with a deeply unpopular vice presidential candidate. Look, good luck, but it's a big uphill battle. The fact is that the spin now is that it was just Joe Biden's age. That was the only issue that he slowed down. The truth is that if you look at every single poll, the two big issues here are the economy and immigration. I'm not a kid. I don't understand any of your black girl summer references. I don't know what brat means, okay? I'm a dad in my 40s. We've lived through, over the last couple of years, the worst price inflation in my life and the worst immigration crisis in my lifetime. This is a major problem. Kamala Harris is married to this administration, and Donald Trump's got a lot of red meat to run against.
All right, so you cannot put it any more straightforward than this. You don't need to overcomplicate the argument, right? They hid Biden's mental health. They lied about it. He brought up, Dave brought up the emperor has no clothes. It was exactly the case, and everyone realized he was naked after the debate, I guess. I mean, they all pretended as though his whole presidency, they were saying how amazing and healthy Joe Biden is, and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, he's not healthy anymore. What happened? This is so crazy. But really, it comes down to this, and Dave's really right about this, is it has, who cares about all these little details? How are the American people feeling right now? Because yes, some people are going to be pissed off that Democrats did something unbelievably shisty, put pressure on Biden, forced him out, got him out of there, and just shoved Kamala Harris into the spotlight. Yes, some people are going to be pissed off about that. People should be pissed off about that, right? Just totally robbed the Democrat base of their primary election where they got to actually choose their presidential candidate. Fair, very fair. But his point right here is, no. They just allowed 10 million illegal immigrants into the country. We have real wages that are down. The American people are struggling. They're paying twice as much for gas as they were under Donald Trump. Almost every single matrix is worse than it was under Donald Trump. Whether it be foreign wars, whether it be energy, whether it be how much people are bringing home, how far their dollar goes, what's happening to their communities, crime, everything. So they have an uphill battle. It doesn't matter who is taking over for Joe Biden. They have an uphill battle here when it comes to selling the American people that they have done such a great job. And that's really what they're trying to go with. And this entire administration has just been nonstop gaslighting. The Democrats and the media, which are, the same thing, they're trying to go with the fact that, well, Biden stepped down for democracy and this was so brave and he had such a great run. The American people don't feel that. And you can't lie to them about how far their dollar is going. It's not going to work out. You guys, let's take a few moments to talk about my good friends over at Allegiance Gold. Now, as we close in on the election, it's really no surprise that Donald Trump is gaining support among all Americans, especially the working class. While many Americans are struggling, the Biden administration continues to attempt to gaslight the American people, saying that the economy has never been better. And we all know that our country is facing challenges. Among those, rising inflation, rising debt, and rising interest rates. There's a reason why so many of you guys watching have invested in gold, because it stands on its own as a beacon of stability, and also over the last 5 years. It's almost doubled in value. Allegiance Gold has done things the right way from the beginning, so it's really no coincidence that they've earned the highest trust ratings in the precious metals industry. They have 5 stars with TrustLink and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. They can help protect your IRA or 401k with physical gold and silver, or if you prefer, you can have it delivered securely to your doorstep. And here's the best part, you guys. Right now, get up to $5,000 in free silver on a qualifying investment when you visit protectwithklug.com or call 866-335-KLUG. Make sure you are protecting your financial future today. Visit protectwithklug.com. That is protectwithklug.com or call 866-335-KLUG. I'll put a link down in the description below. Let's get back to this video. So here's a couple of responses to what Dave Smith just had to say, just calling the Democrats out right to their faces. Here's a couple of responses.
Yeah, I just want to say, as a Gen Zer, I just disagree with this. This consistent notion that Kamala Harris is unpopular. Again, yesterday we saw the largest fundraising day in American political history through Act Blue. Grassroots donors, $5, $10, $25. Gen Z is excited for a candidate objectively that's younger, a woman, and somebody who's been like a champion on things like climate and gun reform, etc. And I think that Gen Z specifically is a generation, me, myself, I've never seen America at peace. It's been nothing but chaos since I was born in 2002.
Thank you, President Joe Biden,
and we're looking back now and saying, wow, this is really at a boiling point. And what has caused this? And what's caused this is Trump and the MAGA movement doing nothing but pushing division all the time with the lies and the disgusting, hateful rhetoric. And
yeah, no, sorry about it. No, yes, it is true that Donald Trump was a mudslinger. Absolutely. He had pretty hardcore rhetoric. Absolutely. CJ Pierce right here. He's very talented, but he was bringing up, hey, blame Joe Biden. Not even Joe Biden, you guys. Not even Joe Biden. When it came to why Donald Trump was elected because the people were sick and tired of being crapped on every single moment. The hard-working, working-class Americans were sick and tired of being called racist, sexist, bigoted, homophobic every single election cycle. And this actually brings something, kind of a memory up for me. Is I was in a class years ago, and this was when Mitt Romney was running. I had seen how people treated George Bush when I was younger, and not so much legit criticisms, more of just calling him racist and sexist and whatever. And I would always see that. And then Mitt Romney came around, and what happened? I heard the same arguments repeated over and over again. Oh, he's racist. Well, how? So I think at a pretty young age, you start to put together, wait a second. These people just use the same argument for every single election, and if you disagree with them politically, they'll just say the same insult to your face. Oh, well, you might just be racist. You might just hate women. You might just be XYZ. It's all these things. And the American people were sick and tired of not just that, not just the social issues, the demonization that came from the left starting around maybe mid to early 2000s, but they were also sick and tired of being screwed over. People elected Donald Trump because they were sick and tired of all this crap. They saw him as a major FU to the system and an FU to the politically correct world. All right, I know that was a massive rant. Let's get back on track here. You also had Harry Sisson 2.0 right here bringing up how Kamala Harris, you do not believe the lies. She is popular. This is... I don't know where they're seeing this. This is literally not the case at all. She has never been popular, not among Black Americans, not among Democrats, certainly not among Republicans. But, gaslighting is the new Democrat strategy. Just keep saying stuff. It doesn't matter if it's a lie. Maybe we'll make it true later on, but it doesn't even matter. We'll just keep saying it, and hopefully people will believe it. Let's continue.
Officials across the board, Democrats have consistently been the ones to calm the tensions. And look, I disagree with calling him America's Hitler, but if I call Donald Trump a dictator or a threat to democracy, I think it's almost dishonest to not call him that. This is somebody who tried to overturn an election he didn't win with evidence that he didn't win it. And so I don't understand how it's hateful to say that he's a threat to democracy or he's moving us toward authoritarianism.
It's not okay to call him America's Hitler, Donald Trump America's Hitler, but I will say it does make sense, right? It's just TDS through the roof. I want to jump back to Dave Smith and his response right here. So now they're talking about, on the panel, they're talking about demonizing coming from the left, coming from the right. And Dave Smith, as a libertarian, he has this kind of argument where he can play that third party sitting back. And we're talking about the rhetoric surrounding Trump is an authoritarian. Trump is Hitler. Let's jump in.
If you want to see what President Trump believes, go to donaldjtrump.com,
how
read
about let's
Agenda
not go
47.
with what's in his
Wait,
heart?
CJ,
Why don't-
CJ,
Oh,
Read
that's
Agenda
cool.
47.
How about this? How about we don't go with what's in his heart and we go with the 4-year track record? I mean, the problem here is that, and look, to your point, obviously the rhetoric on both sides has been elevated tremendously over the last few years. It's been very divisive times in this country, and both sides are guilty of this or right to do it, however you look at it. But people do lose their collective minds when it comes to Donald Trump. Look, these comparisons, the idea that he's some Hitlerian figure is ridiculous. Even the comparisons to Mussolini, this is all silliness. Donald Trump was president for 4 years, okay? He did a lot of things bad. I was a big critic of his foreign policy. His fiscal policy was very bad. I do not think he handled COVID well, but these are problems kind of similar to previous presidents before that. His rhetoric is much more bombastic than other presidents were, okay? That's the reality that we're dealing in. And the fact that you guys have to take this up to 11 as if there's some existential threat to the republic that isn't.
I'm just going to pause really quick. She's interrupting and saying that Trump called white nationalists decent people. What is it with this? It's just, we all know that this has been debunked. We all know that these lies have been exposed. And it's like nobody ever on this side of the aisle, they don't bother to at all make any sort of correction. You don't see this behavior from libertarians, largely. I guess I'm just generalizing. You don't see this behavior from libertarians. You don't see this behavior from Republicans. Their base is far too honest to put up with just regurgitated lies over and over again that have been completely debunked. Here she is just throwing it out there. It's really just amazing stuff. Let's continue. Sorry.
By the way, you want to know the real existential threat to, hold on just 1 second, let me finish. The real existential threat to our republic right now is that debt is over, the interest on our debt is overtaking our entire budget. And this is something that Democrats and Republicans are both guilty of. So they don't want to talk about that because it's, it condemns both of them. But the reality of the situation is that whatever happened on January 6th that got out of control, there certainly was violence there. Donald Trump got on a plane and went back to Mar-a-Lago. He was never calling in the military. There was never a chance that he was going to institute a dictatorship in the United States of America. This is all election nonsense. And I'll tell you something, Democrats, you better figure out something else to run against, because this whole Kamala Harris is a prosecutor and Donald Trump is a felon. The American people have rejected this already. No one cares about these charges that wouldn't have been brought to any other former president, okay? This isn't going to do it. You got to have something of substance. The problem is what you guys could actually run against is that Donald Trump was such a disaster through all of 2020, and he kept Fauci on the job, and he kept Americans locked down. The problem is you guys were criticizing him for not locking down harder. So I don't know what angle you're going to find. There's plenty of flaws on him. The problem is you guys are worse on most of the issues he's bad on.
Holy moly. Okay, you know what? Dave does have a point about not firing Fauci. I'm not sure how well that have worked politically. It probably would have actually seriously affected him for his reelection. But, in hindsight's 2020, got booted out anyways. But it does not need to be more complicated than that. You can see them, the Democrats on the panel, actually short-circuiting when he is saying this stuff, just calling a spade, being completely honest here. You guys are being dramatic, and the American people do not care about this argument. People care about real things. People care about their pocketbooks being affected. People care about their day-to-day lives, and if they see that their life was better under Donald Trump, they're probably going to move in that direction. Now, granted, little things do help, like Donald Trump getting shot in the head and standing up and saying, fight, acting as a symbol of strength and American patriotism. Yeah, those things do help. Those things do help. Absolutely. But nobody's being convinced to vote for Donald Trump. Maybe for that one, because that one was big. Nobody's being convinced to vote for Donald Trump for somebody bringing up January 6th. They've been talking about it for 4 years. Everyone's heard about it. They've made up their mind on it. They thought it was a riot. Most people think it was just, it was a riot. It was bad. And they don't see Donald Trump as pushing for the whole thing or supporting it or anything like that. What Dave Smith is saying right here is absolutely correct. There was no risk of losing democracy. Anyways, moving on to the next part. Trump did not concede. This is a major problem. And once again, Dave shuts them down. Let's go in.
More point. It's now Kamala Harris against Donald Trump.
Joe.
It's Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. If Kamala Harris loses in November, Kamala Harris will concede and she'll accept the will of the people. If Donald Trump loses in November, he won't and he won't. That is a threat.
Wow, that is a threat. Here's another kind of, it's basically this revisionist history. It is Donald Trump is the only person that does that. In 2016, you had Hillary Clinton, you had Jimmy Carter, you had basically everybody. Karine Jean-Pierre, the sitting press secretary. You have almost every single major Democrat, Nancy Pelosi, that was saying that the election was rigged by the Russians. Trump stole the election. And everyone just memory holes these things. Trump is the only person that would refuse to concede an election. But let's hear what Dave has to say.
I will kind of agree with you guys. I just thought the way Trump handled the 2020 election was terrible. I did think he was kind of using like bully tactics when he called the Secretary of State in Georgia there. But the bottom line is that he had no mechanism to actually overthrow democracy, and it was a totally like impotent attempt to even do it. So listen, hold on. Let me just finish, because I let you guys go for a second. Let me just finish making my point here. This is the problem with you guys going to this well over and over again. It was never actually a threat to overthrow democracy. If you want to talk about people who haven't accepted the results of elections, Al Gore, Hillary Clinton, Stacey Abrams, they all have said these were illegitimate elections or there was outside interference. There is nothing. Look, you guys are listen, just hear me for a second. Consider, yes, they conceded. Okay, so they conceded and he didn't. Okay, so
no, they actually did not. Hillary Clinton went back on her word after she conceded. She then denied the election results again.
By the magical power of saying, I concede, that somehow makes us a democracy and not a dictatorship. You guys are obsessing over this thing that most Americans don't actually care that much about.
Oh my gosh. Biggest takeaway is just calling it like it is. Calling TDS out and not needing to make it more complicated than it actually is, right? You can see them on the panel having an absolute meltdown, but this is the case. And Dave Smith is 100% correct about this. When it comes to the American people, they're not looking at this saying, oh my gosh, wow, total authoritarian, like just your average American, right? They're not seeing this and being convinced by the argument that because he didn't believe that there was a fair election in 2020, he's an authoritarian. Meanwhile, all these other Democrats can deny election results, but they can do that with impunity. Donald Trump just can't. But his whole thing is, it's a threat to democracy because he didn't concede an election? Do you understand how the system, like that didn't just collapse the entire political system. That's not how things work. Calling out these overly dramatic arguments in such a way that makes them look so silly on air. This is Dave Smith versus 3 people, taking out each one of them. Amazing, amazing work. I want to hear what you guys think about this down in the comment section below. Do you like how Dave simplified the arguments? Not needing to go above and beyond into all the nitty-gritty details and just saying, look, this is what's going on here. This is what you guys are doing, and it's kind of crazy. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed my commentary, please make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more videos if you are not subscribed already. And hit that bell notification button so you're notified next to my post. And I'll catch you guys all in the next video.